Apologize, we had another meeting that ran late, so we're a little bit late with this one, but I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jody, roll call.
Nelson.
Sorry, here.
Pointer.
Here.
Spoonheim.
Here.
Gregor.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Aldridge.
Here.
Washi.
Here. Normally, we would continue on to the Plymouth Forum, but given the number of people who wish to speak, we are going to do the presentations and public information announcements if there's no objections, especially 4.1, our Public Safety Department Citizens Award, as there are a number of school-aged children that are here tonight, and they probably need to get home and get to bed before it gets too late. So we're going to jump right to that. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for accommodating this for some of our citizens that are here to be recognized and what could be a longer evening. So this is our first time doing this sort of format, and I won't take too much time, but there are 5 different residents here that have done some outstanding work over the last year that we felt justified being honored in front of the City Council publicly. A Public Safety Citizens Award recognizes community members who take thoughtful, responsible action, or who took thoughtful and responsible action to help others to support public safety. It honors individuals whose awareness, quick decisions, and willingness to step in contributed to the safety and well-being of the community, often working alongside or assisting our first responders here in Plymouth. So what I'm going to do is call all of the citizens up at one time, and then I'll go through the stories in order of when they happened over the past year. So our first Public Safety Citizen Award, this is a little interesting. Lennon Fadden, who's actually my son. Come on, buddy. So you can stand right here, okay? You get to stand right next to Dad. Colleen Cosgrove. Grant Hendel and Anthony Pauley. And Kiran Kumar Bondi. So I'll start with Lennon here. In March of last year, Lennon, who was 9 years old at the time, was at home with his mom when she fainted. Mom fell into the fireplace and sustained a significant laceration to her head. Lennon, who was the only person at home with her at the time, found her in the kitchen when she was just starting to regain consciousness. Lennon searched for and quickly located his mom's cell phone, which was outside in the driveway, and dialed 911. He was able to tell the 911 dispatchers what happened and gave his home address to get help coming. He then hung up with the dispatchers and called his dad to tell him what had happened. Lennon is receiving this award tonight for his bravery, quick thinking, and for keeping calm during a very scary situation. His actions helped get much needed emergency aid for his mom. Thank you, Lennon, and good job, buddy. Hey, Lennon, you got to stay up here, buddy, because we got to do some pictures. The next award is for Colleen Cosgrove. In June, Colleen Cosgrove found herself in a pickle when she discovered a missing toddler in a pond behind her home. Ms. Cosgrove recognized the urgent danger and acted without hesitation as she quickly stepped in and helped bring the child to safety, potentially preventing a tragic outcome. Her swift response and care in a critical moment exemplify the impact of everyday heroes in our community. We are proud to honor her for her courage, compassion, and commitment to protecting those around her. Thank you, Colleen. The next award is for Grant Hendel and Anthony Pauley. In September, our officers responded to a report of a person in distress, but were initially unable to locate the person. While officers were searching, it was learned that a neighboring city was searching for a missing person who suffers from dementia. Mr. Hendel and Mr. Polly came across a confused elderly woman who had fallen in the grass. The two stopped to assist her, helped her to safety, and stayed with her until officers were able to arrive. Their quick actions and compassion led to the identification of the missing resident and ensured that she was safely reunited with her caretakers. Their attentiveness and willingness to help exemplify outstanding community care and partnership with public safety. Thank you, Grant and Anthony. And our final award tonight is for Kiran Kumar Bondi. In October, officers responded to a report of a fire and heavy smoke coming from a residential garage. Mr. Bondi noticed the smoke while leaving for work and immediately stopped to investigate. He alerted the residents in the home and called 911, ensuring that first responders were notified without delay. His awareness, quick decision-making, and willingness to intervene helped prevent the situation from turning even worse. Thank you, Kiran Kumar, for being a great neighbor and outstanding citizen of Plymouth. So those are the 5 awardees, and I promised I'd be brief, which I don't always do. So thank you to all of you for joining us this evening and accepting your awards. It's an honor to be able to recognize all of you for your exceptional work and your contributions to this community. Thank you.
Get a picture here.
Absolutely. So everybody, we'll stay. Let's just do a quick picture here. I know the mayor wants to come down. You hold on to that tight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, then we're going to move on to item 4.2, receive update from the Metropolitan Mosquito Control District. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. My name is Alex Carlson. I'm the Public Affairs Manager with the Metropolitan Mosquito Control District. With me, I have Mark Leonard. He's a Field Operations Supervisor who covers the area of the City of Plymouth. We have a brief presentation today just to provide an update on the work that we've done in the past season, some preview of what's coming up ahead. I know in February, everybody's got mosquitoes at the top of mind, so I'll be brief, but it's just good information, especially as we begin to head back out into the field. We want to make sure people know that who we are and what we're doing as we're heading out to wetlands and areas where mosquitoes develop. And I apologize, who is running the slides?
You are.
Oh, I am. All right. Thank you. All right. So with that, I'll get started. So just a background on our organization. We've been around since 1958, but we are a special taxing district. So we serve the 7-county metro area. And our service areas, up to Anoka County, down to Dakota County, and covers the east and west. Our governance is county commissioners. So elected county commissioners are selected to serve on our board, and they determine our budget and everything like that. We have over 3,200,000 people in our service area. We are actually the second largest mosquito control district in the country. Most other states do it county by county. Just the way the Twin Cities works is we have a partnership between all 7 counties. And our funding comes from property taxes. Oh, my slides are getting ahead of themselves. So we're funded by property taxes. The median home in Hennepin County pays about $11 per household per year for mosquito control services, which include comprehensive mosquito control, disease mitigation. We do tick surveillance because those are part of our program as well. We also do black fly control and surveillance, which are the biting gnats that emerge from moving water, rivers, and streams. And then we do public education just to inform people about work that they can do to prevent mosquitoes, ticks, and other vector-borne animals. Just a little background on mosquitoes. There's over 3,000 species in the world, but in Minnesota we have 52 here. And of those 52, not all mosquitoes bite human beings. So we have specific species that only feed on birds or frogs or other non-mammals. So we really focus on about 20 or so, which either bite large mammals like humans or can spread diseases that can eventually get to humans. So public health is an important part of our mission. The mosquito life cycle is up there, but the mosquitoes start their life cycle in water. So after their eggs hatch, they'll spend about a week in the water for most species before they emerge as adult mosquitoes. So usually when we follow the rain in the summer, anytime we get about an inch of rain or more, that's going to trigger what we call a brood or a hatching. And then we'll see those mosquito eggs emerge out of the water as adult mosquitoes about a week after that rainfall. We started with surveillance. So it's important to us to gather data. We do what's called integrated pest management. So the goal is to figure out what's out there before we go out and determine what we need to do to prevent those mosquitoes from getting out. So it starts with wetland surveillance. Every day we have field staff out checking wetlands, checking areas with standing water that might have developed mosquitoes, both natural habitats like wetlands and ponds and marshes, but also human-made habitats, containers, waste tires, rain barrels, things like that. That can all become mosquito habitat as well. So we go figure out where the larva is at first. I actually did bring a little vial of a sample of larva if you want to take a look at what these look like. There's some larvae and some pupa in there, so you can see some actual size. We don't have any live ones because they're hard to come by in February, but later in the summer we will. We also do adult collections, what we call adult collections, where we set up traps for mosquitoes. So every Monday night we set up about 200 different types of traps throughout the Twin Cities. We also do human-baited collections where we have brave volunteers stand out in their yard and wait for the mosquitoes to come to us. And then we use a net and we sweep around our head and around our feet, and then we wrap it up and we put it in our freezer overnight and let the bugs die. And then in the morning my kids go to get their waffles and they're like, "Dad, you left bugs in the freezer again?" And I'm like, "It's for science." And then I bring all that to our St. Paul lab where they identify those different insects and determine which species they are. So we have PhD entomologists who work year-round, as well as seasonal staff of mainly college students and other people who work over the summer, help with those insect identifications, because we don't want to do any treatments until we identify that this is a mosquito species and one of those species is going to affect human beings. And then we go out and do our control efforts. So we do a lot of different controls. A lot of people know us because of our helicopters. So large wetlands over an acre, we'll use helicopters to treat because they're just the fastest, most effective way. So what we're doing is we're putting dry granules in the water to treat the larva. So we consider ourselves a larval control agency. Most of our work is treating mosquitoes in the larval stage when they're still in the water. And I brought a little sample. I'll talk about that in just a second, but another show and tell item because I like show and tell. But we also do supplement with some what we call adult control if there's disease concerns or habitat reduction. You're reducing those human-made sources that can produce mosquitoes. So the main ingredient that we use for larval control is in that vial there. It's actually a ground-up corn cob with a bacteria on it called BTI. And that bacteria is activated when it hits the water, and it's ingested by the mosquito larva in the water. But it's got a specific strain of bacteria that's toxic to the alkaline gut of a mosquito larva. So other aquatic animals that don't have that alkaline gut can encounter it, can eat it, and have no impact. It doesn't harm pollinators like bees and butterflies who aren't in the water. Doesn't harm fish or other animals. It's very specific to mosquito larvae. So we can know we can do this widespread. We're targeting those mosquitoes that we want to impact with minimal environmental impact, which is ultimately our goal. The public health side is very important. So we talk about West Nile virus as our biggest concern. So West Nile is actually spread by mosquitoes via a host bird. So birds will spread West Nile among the population, and then a mosquito will bite an infected bird. That same mosquito then bites a person or a horse, what we call our dead-end hosts, and that's how the disease gets spread. So we can't spread West Nile to each other, but if infected mosquitoes are in an area, that means people should take precautions. And so last year, actually, one of the big stories was it was a record year for West Nile virus. We had 45 human cases in the Twin Cities, which was our largest. 28 was the second highest. So a significant impact for people in the Twin Cities. So it's really our goal to try to bring that number down. In the greater Minnesota, outside of our service area, the numbers were triple that. But our goal is to just keep the numbers down here in our service area. Another big story from last year was the cattail mosquito, this dreaded species of mosquito that only comes out once per year. They'd been pretty absent for the past couple of years because of drought conditions, but last year they made a roaring return, and they're responsible for what we call our midsummer surge. So right around the beginning of July, they all come out at once, and then they taper off. And I'll have a chart in just a second to show what that looks like. And then finally, we just had a very slow spring last year. If you were out in May, you probably didn't see any mosquitoes because we had a very dry early spring last year. So this is kind of a grid of what it looks like, the week-by-week mosquito totals. You can see that peak in July 8th. The week of July 8th, that's because those cattail mosquitoes all emerged. Mostly beyond that, we mostly had an average year last year. This just shows kind of a historical example of our larval control. So we did over 200,000 acres of larval control last year, which is our most since 2016. And a lot of it just has to do with responding to rain. We had a lot of rain last year, so we had to do a lot of responding to it. And then adult control, I mentioned how we do that to supplement our larval control, and this just kind of shows how our program has shifted. Adult control is the spraying with a backpack, which is very effective for targeted mosquito control efforts, but has the risk of, it's a broad spectrum material, so it can harm other animals. So we really try to use that only in cases where we're mitigating disease risk. And you can see the historical trend with that as we've really gone away from using those adult control materials because the larval control is just safer, environmentally effective. For the city of Plymouth, just looking at the totals from last year, so we did 1,400 sites inspected, over 5,000 acres of larval control. We did do 17.8 acres of adult control in the city of Plymouth. We removed 114 tires, treated over 3,000 catch basins, and only 17 people called us. So it's a good reminder, if you're having issues with mosquitoes or ticks or black flies, we like when people call us and tell us that because that does really help with our program. Just looking ahead to 2026, we are actually unrolling our strategic plan. So in the previous year, we put together our strategic plan. This year, we're rolling it out. And really, the goal is to get to more places, to get out more in the community. Continue to focus on research. So we hired a new research entomologist this year who's going to really help with figuring out what products work the best and also environmental impacts of anything that we do. And then we're doing some construction projects, and as we're also expanding our education and our outreach. This is a change for Hennepin County. So in previous years, we had a tire program. Tires are a big habitat for mosquitoes. So they collect water, it gets warm and murky, and some of the more dangerous mosquitoes tend to like that habitat. And so we've gone out and we've picked up piles of tires and recycled them at no cost to residents. Well, we've kind of become a victim of our own success where we were getting tens of thousands of tire requests every single year, and it was more than we could keep up with because our main focus is getting to those wetlands and stuff. So this year we're actually changing things, so we're having people come to us. So we're hosting 2 tire recycling days in Hennepin County where we will still take and collect tires at no cost to residents, but they're on specific days. So they have to bring the tires to us instead of us coming out all year long at a time that works for our field staff. So more information is going to be on our website, and we'll have information to coming out to cities soon about the exact dates for all of these, but that is a change for this year. Just some resources for residents. We have great tools on our website. There's a map where you can look up your address and figure out where the wetlands are and the mosquito breeding sites are in your neighborhood. You might be surprised by where the mosquitoes are coming from. We also, there's just an example of the maps. People also can sign up for email alerts. So if you want to know when our helicopters are coming out or when we're doing any sort of activity in your area, you can sign up for an email alert, and we'll alert you at least a day before we start helicopter activity. And then outreach. We're always trying to get out into the community more. So there's an example of our mosquito float you may see in parades. There in the foreground is our mascot. Her name is Victoria. You might see her out and about at events this summer, but I always put in a plug. If you know of any events that you would like us to participate in, we bring live mosquito larvae. It's really interactive. It's a fun event for families and stuff like that. So we'd always be open to those opportunities. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
All right, any questions?
Mayor.
Oh, wow. Councilmember Spoonheim, then Gregor.
First of all, thank you. I learned a bunch. And I am curious about ticks. Since you show a lot of statistics about mosquitoes, but ticks are the carrier for Lyme disease. So what do you know about ticks in the metro area, in your service area, and what are solutions that people can use?
Thank you, Mayor and Council Member Spoonheim. So with ticks, there's no treatments that we do to control ticks. So really for ticks, it's public education. So the thing to know is we have resources where you can identify wood tick versus deer tick. Wood ticks typically don't carry diseases where deer ticks can carry Lyme disease as well as a host of others. So identifying the differences is very important as well. And then just some resources on what people can do. We do collect ticks and report to public health districts at the county level about when they're higher than normal. And we are, our results from last year just coming in, it does look like this is going to be a higher year of some nymph ticks, which is the early stage of ticks. So just May is a time when people should start taking precautions this year.
Thank you for your presentation. First of all, I just want to
speak on behalf of the mayor. He was giving a speech last summer, and your helicopter was zooming all over. So we should sign up for those email
ahead of
alerts.
time for the
Yeah,
helicopter to come.
But I did review your presentation in advance, and I went to the map. I think that's great. And I was just trying to understand, does the map show when an area is treated or when it was tested or both?
So it's live updated when it gets treated.
Okay.
We have our field staff, and Mark can talk about that a little bit. But when they're out doing a check of a site, they update that, and then it updates live on our public maps, and then it updates after it gets treated. So it doesn't like alert beforehand, but does update live. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to add anything about that. But.
Yeah.
All right. Then- sorry, go ahead.
Just to add, thank you, Mayor and Councilman Gregor. So as a part of that, as my role as a field operations supervisor, we'll have staff go out to many of those wetlands that are shown on that map. Some of them they're all prioritized differently depending on how wet they are, when they become wet in the season, and history of breeding, and that will determine the type of material we use and how frequently we revisit it, or when in the year we do revisit it.
Thank you. I had one last question. I encourage all sorts of people to get rain barrels, but are they like a terrible thing when it comes to mosquitoes, or how do I help prevent mosquitoes growing in my rain barrel?
If not properly maintained, they can become what I might say is a plight to man. But covering them with a screen of some kind, or there are options like, I can't remember the manufacturer, but there are commercially available mosquito dunks that can be used as long as they are refreshed and use it to treat those waters. So then mosquitoes that try to use them as standing water breeding habitat won't be successful in being able to have larvae propagate and then become
The
adults
screen
there.
is a big.
Yeah, coverage is the biggest thing, and then chemical treatment would be a secondary option.
Thank you.
All right, I have Councilmember Aldrich, then Pointner, then Peterson.
Yeah, I was just curious. You guys do good work, by the way. Everyone appreciates it. If there is like a big outbreak of West Nile virus, do you guys have a protocol where you just say, "Hey, we're going to wipe them all out"? Like, do you guys have something like that in your back pocket?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Eldridge. Yes, we do have thresholds. So if we work with the Department of Health. So if they're noticing above average human cases, then we will respond. And we pretty much automatically do whenever we see high levels of a certain species that can carry West Nile. We'll respond with some adult control measures everywhere that we can find them. And a lot of it is finding where the larva develops. This particular species likes to develop in catch basins or stormwater drains. And so sometimes we'll do some additional work in those areas to help mitigate that.
Councilmember Pointner?
Yeah, my question is, from what I saw, what you showed us, the corn-like material, does that, so there is no misting when the helicopters fly over, correct? Because some people say, well, I feel it, or I this, that, or the other thing, so I breathe it. So I guess what comes out of the helicopters?
Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Pointner. Yes, that is a common misconception is our aerial treatments, whether it's from a helicopter or a drone, are never applying a liquid. It's always a dry granule. So you might see the granules coming out, but they're meant to land in the water. Sometimes they'll be on the edges of the water if it's windy or something like that. But if anybody is near where it's happening, there's no mist or anything like that. You would see the actual granule pieces falling down.
Perfect, and I thank you for all you do.
All right, Councilmember Peterson?
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed a couple slides back, there was a reference to kind of the volume of the treatment work, and some of it was helicopters, that was the majority, but then there was also drones, and kind of knowing where that kind of drone technology is going, is that something that will continue to grow as a tool for your treatment efforts, especially when you think about it's quieter, less intrusive to our quiet neighborhoods, probably cheaper, probably more eco-friendly. So I'd just like to hear more about that.
Certainly. And thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Peterson. So I apologize, I'm not quite sure where to look. But as a part of that, the drone program has been, it's newer to our operations, and we've been working, a lot of my colleagues are working really hard to develop it. So then, kind of like you were saying, it's less intrusive, and it provides better opportunities for our staff on foot to tackle smaller areas that would be cumbersome for the drone to treat. Whereas the drone can tackle other wetlands that are cumbersome for them to trek out to, whether it's a half-a-mile walk to treat a small half-an-acre puddle, or if it's suddenly a acre and a half wetland that the helicopter is unable to fly due to restrictions that are put in place by whoever might own that parcel. And so it's something that we're genuinely working really hard and kind of collaboratively amongst different offices in MMCD to try and expand and use as a tool, not necessarily as a replacement for what we already do on foot or in air, if that makes sense.
Did you have another question, Councilmember Peterson? You're good? Okay. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you for all you do. You know, I know by the time we get to May, June, July, you know, this like proactive public publicity you've been doing and putting your contact information, you might rethink that once, depending on how wet our spring and summer is. But thank you for all the work you do. We really appreciate it. Music on Plymouth is what day again, Dave? Make sure you get sprayed before that, yeah. That's when we have about 15,000 residents come out for the 4th of July kind of celebration, so.
Thank you, Mayor. We can
again.
bring Victoria come to that event as well.
That'd be great. Yeah, bring Victoria, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor and council members.
All right, thanks. Next, we go to item 4.3, proclamation recognizing Black History Month. Jody, do you have anything, or do we go right to Clark? All right. I ask Councilmember Gregor if he would read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my honor to read the proclamation recognizing Black History Month. And to me, this is really more than a symbolic thing. This reaffirms our commitment to equity and inclusion and respect. The Black History Month honors the contributions and sacrifices of Black Americans and people who have shaped our community, who have shaped our nation. So I see this as a time to reflect and celebrate those people who have contributed to our community and our culture and educate others and ourselves and future generations. So I also see this as really embodying our city's civic values, and we use that as an acronym. And so the I is inclusion, meaning valuing individuals for their unique qualities, and the C of connections, building authentic relationships and meaningful engagement that add quality to life. So with that preface, I will read the proclamation. Whereas the City of Plymouth recognizes that Black History Month is an annual celebration honoring the achievements, contributions, and rich heritage of Black Americans, and whereas the Plymouth City Council may issue proclamations at City Council meetings to highlight major local, national, or international events that are culturally or historically significant, and whereas 2026 marks a full century of formally recognizing Black history in the U.S., since Harvard scholar Dr. Carter G. Woodson established an observance in 1926 to inspire schools and communities to organize local celebrations and host performances and lectures. And whereas the movement grew over the years to encourage us to reflect on the past and celebrate the many Black Americans who have made contributions in areas of medicine, law, education, politics, business, the arts, and more. And whereas the City of Plymouth acknowledges the importance of honoring Black Minnesotans whose leadership, creativity, and courage have strengthened our communities, expanded opportunities for all, and helped shape the cultural, civic, and economic fabric of the state of Minnesota. And whereas celebrating Black History Month encourages all residents to reflect on the ongoing struggle for racial justice and equity, to recognize the diversity of experiences within our community, and to reaffirm our collective commitment to inclusion, understanding, and opportunity for all people. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved that the Plymouth City Council proclaims February 2026 as Black History Month in the City of Plymouth and urges all residents to join in recognizing and celebrating the historic contributions and enduring achievements of Black Americans, a community rooted in equity, respect, and opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gregor. All right, now we'll move back to the Plymouth Forum. Individuals may address the council about any item not contained on the regular agenda. A maximum of 3 minutes is allotted per individual with a total of 15 minutes for the forum. Full 15 minutes are not needed for the forum. The city council will continue with the agenda. The city council will take no official actions on items discussed at the forum with the exception of referral to staff or commission or committee for future report. So I just have a couple of other comments to make. I have well over 10 cards. There's no way we're going to get 10 people done in 15 minutes. I would ask you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, just because there's so many people that want to talk. We'll be here for a very long time. But with that, this meeting, because of the amount of people who wish to speak, we're going to waive that 15-minute that we normally put in there. And we'll start calling people up. Also, just again, to remind people, the forum is where you address the council about subjects that you want the council to address the council, anything you can, but the council does not respond back to you. We may refer it to staff or a committee for a future to give a report back to the council at some point, but it's not a dialogue. Some people don't understand that. So. Mr. Johnson, I know you do understand that, so I'm going to call on you first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Yeah, I've been coming here for over a year. I've been watching what's going on in the nation. I watch a lot of news shows, particularly ones that have both parties represented, because I'm an independent. I live in the middle. I hope a lot more Americans would live in the middle and not be totally right or totally left. That's what's dividing us as a nation. George Washington warned us about this. He was not for parties because people get too attached to these parties. That's why I'm a full-blooded independent. My party is the party of the people, because the Constitution reads, "We the people," not "we the government" or "we the party." It's "we the people." Just one update on the news. I heard a while back that March 17th, TPS for Somalians is going to go away. I researched it tonight before I came here, and it's still true. On March 17th, the Trump administration is pulling TPS from Somalis. I think that's wrong. Somalia is not tame yet. These people, if they get sent back to there, will be killed, and that's wrong. We are human beings, and we should be treated as such no matter what the color of your skin is. God didn't make us all white. When I answer the phone and it's a political thing and they get down to the last survey, what's your ethnic background? Want to know how I answer that? I answer that, I'm a human being that happened to be born white. And that's how everybody should answer it, no matter what color you are. I don't agree with Somali American or this American. It should be you're an American like me. I'm an American of British descent. I'm not a British American. I'm an American. Thank you.
And I'll ask, no applauding. We're not at an event or something. This is the council chambers, so I would ask you to treat that as such, and I thank you much. Next, I have Paul Hetchler. Is Paul here? Oh, there you are. Did I get the Hetchler correct?
You did.
All right, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor and council members, I was one of the people visited by ICE January 9th, Monday morning at about 11 o'clock. As you could see, I don't fit the profile that they were looking for, but they were two, one with mask and gun that he kept fiddling with his fingers. Intimidation, I suspect. When I first saw this, I called 911. I asked for an officer to be present as a witness, and they said that Plymouth does not do that, or Plymouth Police Department does not do that. I was disappointed. But I went out in my backyard. Now I have 5 acres. I have 2 barns on that property. And, excuse me, the one officer was searching around in my barn. The other one said nothing, but he had his mask on, and he was the one fiddling with his gun all the time. It was very disturbing. Meanwhile, 911 did call back to my house. My wife answered the phone, and they said, we're sorry, but there can be no police response. I knew I was on my own. I called out to the 2 guys with Border Patrol uniforms on, and they ignored me until I didn't give up. I called multiple times. Finally, one of them would talk to me from a distance of about 30 feet, which was okay. We at least communicated. And it turns out that they supposedly were looking for somebody who was a worker on a new house adjacent to my property. And they said that they had already arrested his partner. It was a crew working on the outside, a crew of 2 guys working on the outside of that house, applying the siding to this new house. And so they got that shut down right away, unfortunately, to the builder who I know has a buyer who has already bought that property, and he's trying to finish things up as best he can. I was very, very frustrated. Decided that I was, at my age, 80, I was certainly going to be overpowered if I tried anything with these guys. So I walked back in the house and just kept the door closed. I find it very frustrating that this is kind of happening on a private property right here in Plymouth, northwest corner of Plymouth. I hope that anything that you can do as your study session started out with earlier this evening. I support anything that supports our people, all of our people in Plymouth. I thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hetchler. Appreciate you sharing that story. Next, I have Paul Wardell.
City Council, Mayor. I'm a neighbor of Paul's. I'm Paul as well. And was very concerned about his story. I would not want your jobs. You find yourself caught between a federal government that's breaking the Constitution. Why? Amendment 4 does not allow people to come onto properties without a judicial warrant, and now we have administrative warrants, which the former head of Homeland Security, not under this administration, but a previous one, said that's against the law. You have to have judicial warrants because it's a constitutional right. It goes back to King George. That's what the Constitution was made on. So you find the police force caught between a federal government that's breaking the law and a commitment to protect the citizens of Plymouth. I wouldn't want your job. That's a terrible place to be, but somehow you got to figure this out. And I'm not sure how you're going to do it, but you're going to need to figure it out. The American Civil Liberties Union this afternoon is starting to sue police forces, city police forces, for in collaboration with ICE, for mistreatment of people, detention of people, which are against the law. So when you have the federal government breaking federal law, the Constitution of the United States, one of you said in our previous meeting that you don't take an oath to the Constitution. Well, isn't that what this is all about? Isn't that what America is all about? I think perhaps that you're looking for community values to start with your dedication to the Constitution, and that's your guiding values. Yes, inclusiveness is important. Yes, equity is important. But really, it's about the U.S. Constitution. So if you don't take a commitment to the Constitution, then you're not what America's supposed to be about. So I suggest to you, henceforth, look at the U.S. Constitution, commit yourself to that, look at the values there, and turn to your police force and say, your job is to protect us within the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
All right. Dan, I'd ask you if you would hold your applause. Then I have Kevin Peterson.
Is it the thank you one, Mayor?
Pardon?
Which one is it?
Oh, you have a budget and a thank you.
Yeah, I'll do the thank you one this time. Thanks.
Okay. Do you want, we don't have anything on for a budget discussion tonight.
No, that's fair.
You want to come back on the forum and talk about a budget?
No, not necessarily specifically a budget item,
Oh.
but it's more just, I mean, I can do that one if you want.
All right.
You want me to do them both? I'll do them both within 3
Do 'em
minutes,
both.
I promise.
Okay.
Okay. So first off, I attended the 2-hour session earlier today, and first off, I just want to say, Chief Ed, I just want to thank you. I could have told you what each council member was going to say within that 2 hours, so I was paying special close attention to what you were going to say, how you were going to, handle yourself, et cetera. I just want to thank you. As you attempt to really walk a very thin line, and I just want to say that I appreciate it, and if you need any help with any fundraising, just let me know. I'm happy to help any way that I can. So 2 other things. So I sat through that 2-hour session, and you guys all have a level of authority within the community, and your words matter. And so I just want to say 2 things. I heard in that meeting, sharing your perspective on how an asylum case was played out and how you disagreed with how that asylum case played out. I think there's a misunderstanding of asylum law. And so I just ask that everyone just go back. If we all want to debate the Constitution, we all want to debate how the law is enforced, go and actually understand the law that we're talking about, and then declare your opinion on things in regards to how something is played out within the community. Secondly, there's, again, a lot of discussion, and I actually called out one of the mayors in the local area who misrepresented the event that the Brooklyn Park police officer described. And I just encourage you to go back and really understand the law and how things are playing out with regards to how ICE is operating. And again, I am not at all here condemning the federal government or how it's operated. I just ask that if we're going to declare something and make an opinion known about something, that we become as informed as possible on that topic. Lastly, on the budget item, I appreciate that we're focused on this resolution with regards to immigration enforcement and how we want to address the concerns that are within the community, which are absolutely valid concerns. I do ask that we also consider in a future working session of joining the other 241 mayors who have signed a similar, not similar, but a resolution calling for more scrutiny on the state budget. And so if we're going to choose to go down a path with regards to resolutions, with regards to ICE enforcement and federal engagement and all those things that are definitely warranted, I ask that we also devote similar time and energy on something that's really right in our backyard. And I was here during the Truth in Taxation last December, and we talked about unfunded liabilities. And I'm not going to say the number because I don't know if I remembered it incorrectly, but it was not an inconsequential number. And so I would encourage the council to consider what's been proposed by the Cross Lake mayor as well as other 241 mayors, and bring that into the chamber, bring that into your working sessions, and discuss that topic and how you want to address that topic in conjunction with this topic. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much. Next, I have Lisa Anderson. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, I came this evening and I came to the study session and I was concerned, and I just want to compliment all of you on the conversations, courageous conversations that we are having to have as a community to find forward. Our country is in dire need of leaders that can find forward, and I'm confident that perhaps we can even begin something new and different in this city that can shed light on how we do that. As the last speaker just said, I agree completely that we need to be informed before we continue to add fuel to the fire of a lot of things that are going on, communication and stories. And when it really all comes down to things, we have to know, I'm not a lawyer, but I can read, and I can do simple searches. And out of the heartbreak of what I see happening as well, I simply did a search for immigration, and I watched a video, Immigration 101, and I learned a ton. It is incredibly complex. And one of the speakers on this video mentioned that there has been very little litigation or little revision done to law since 1991, which means every administration has kicked this issue down the path. And here it's now in the local level and exploding on our national scene. So number one, this issue is very complex, as most things are at that level. But the second thing I also learned is I went and I found 2 documents that I would like to offer for your reading as you consider to be informed about this whole Metro Surge operation, in an effort to be people of understanding, that we are informed by the documents that we have established on a federal level and a local level and a state level. So the first one was called the United States Code, Powers of Immigration Officers and Employees, and I'll just read the headings. Powers without warrant. Administration oath, taking of evidence. Search without warrant. Detainment of aliens in violation of with controlled substances. Restrictions and warrants of entries in case of outdoor agricultural settings and operations. Performance of immigration officers' functions by state officers and employees. Protecting abused juveniles. There's other documents like this. Another one that I have is called U.S. Code 11, and it's called Assaulting, Resisting, and Impeding Certain Officers and Employees, and this is under the Immigration Procedures Codes. So there are things for us to learn, and I'm trusting and confident that all of this is part of our process as we find forward in our city, so that we can be a community again. We are a community. I guess I just want to reaffirm that I'm just very, I was very impressed with the cordiality despite very different opinions and an ability to find forward for our city. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Next, I have Audra Rudies. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Audra Rudies. So mayor and council members, I also had the opportunity to listen in on the study session prior to this meeting, and really wish to thank you all, as the previous speaker said, for having these hard conversations and really, talking about these issues. And exploring options to support public safety in light of the fear and harm that has been brought to our cities by federal agencies. While impacts have been felt more strongly in our neighboring cities, I definitely appreciate the acknowledgments that the federal agents' tactics are causing fear and harm to Plymouth residents as well. Some of you shared some anecdotes of these, encounters. One example was just the harassment and detaining of Plymouth employees who are here working legally, who have been vetted, who have had background checks. And, that's hurting our businesses, our Plymouth businesses. And not only by taking these employees from the businesses, so now there's no workers, but now there's other folks who feel, even though they're legal citizens or residents, they feel scared to come to work. And so now these businesses have fewer employees because this is happening. And so with these things, going on, I am grateful that you're exploring options. Drafting a resolution is an awesome start. I definitely support your work there, and would encourage you, as this gentleman suggested, that, there are other mayors who are putting something similar together, and if you could join in on that, I think that voice could be a little stronger. I also love that you are interested in, looking for more than, a performative gesture, to actually, do something. And I'm a idea person and solutions person, so just wanted to just throw out two ideas that I kind of thought of. One of them was, you all heard at that meeting the definition of a legal constitutional observer, right? And that is really, anybody can be in that role, including Plymouth Police. And I just want you to think about that for a moment, because what is it? What is that role? It is somebody who stands as a citizen, does not interfere, but they're ensuring that no excessive force is used. They're staying present as a witness. They're basically there just to ensure accountability, to ensure, document badge numbers. Is this masked, unidentified person actual federal agent, or are they some kidnapper or loon who is just know that? As a female in particular, you might think, well, somebody is flagging you down. Why wouldn't you stop? Well, as a woman, I have been taught that if somebody is telling me to stop and I'm alone in the car and it is not a police car behind me, I'm not supposed to stop because I could be endangering my life. What I'm supposed to do is drive to the nearest police station and ask for help there, or call 911 and say, hey, can you check this out and make sure that this person's legit? So now I'm in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because we have seen, some of these agents using excessive force just because they're pissed off because somebody didn't pull over because they asked them to pull over. Anyhow, I digress. So this is one area where I wonder if, some of our police officers could have some of that, legal training. And
Audra, I just said you're well over 3 minutes.
okay, then I will say the second thing is, I would like to suggest that maybe the city council could commit to collecting anecdotes or evidence of unconstitutional federal activity from residents. That could be part of your education to residents, as well as, taking a leadership role in that for the purposes of pursuing legal action on behalf of residents, either as a city of Plymouth or in conjunction with other cities. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your work.
Thank you very much. Next, I'll ask for Daniel Wu. Welcome.
Thank you. I attended the study session before. I want to say that I was not planning on speaking tonight until I attended that session. I am one of those constitutional observers, as they were mentioned tonight. For the past 3.5 weeks, I've been working in Minneapolis on my own as a volunteer, not being paid, not having a day off, observing the activities and the brutality of what's going on to our fellow neighbors. I myself am an immigrant. I was not born here, but I am proud to call myself an American and a U.S. citizen. I just have to say a little bit of an anecdote that happened to me. On Tuesday, January 20th, I was in St. Paul observing ICE agents as they drove around the city. I must reiterate, we do, as constitutional observers, what we do is not to impede or obstruct their work. We are there simply to observe, to document, and keep them accountable. At one point, me and my observation partner discovered an ICE vehicle, a known ICE vehicle that was patrolling the parking lot of Hmong Village in Phelan area of St. Paul. We began to follow them to see what they were planning on doing. After following them for a little bit, they started to drive on the highway towards New Brighton, at which point I realized they were likely coming to my house in Plymouth. After driving for nearly 40 minutes or 35 miles, my theory was proven correct. They drove to my house in front of my driveway, 2 armed men with masks, just to intimidate me to say, "We know where you live." Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't feel safe calling 911. The Plymouth Police Department had not made a statement at that time of whether or not there was participation, and we weren't sure. We were very afraid that if we did call 911, that the police would use their authority to pull us over and expose us to these agents. And as we know, many observers have been brutalized or arrested without cause by these federal agents. I actually continued to follow these agents out of my neighborhood because I wanted to show them that I would not be intimidated by them. I am not afraid by them. I know that the Constitution and the law protects me. And unfortunately, they took me right outside to this city hall right here, drove us here, and called 911 on us. I want to say the police did not arrest me. They did not assist ICE. But at that moment, because out of fear, out of uncertainty, me and my observation partner decided to leave because we were not sure. We weren't sure that if local police would use their authorities to force us out of our vehicles and release them to those ICE agents. I mean, my story is just one anecdote of, I know for a fact, hundreds of other situations involving legal U.S. citizens in the Twin Cities. And that's not even to begin to describe the thousands of situations across the city that are impacting our immigrant neighbors. I have to say that I'm rather disappointed to hear that Mayor Wajdi did not even know what a constitutional observer was until tonight, and that definition needed to be explained to him. I do appreciate all the work that you guys are doing, but one thing I'd really plead for you is that, especially Chief Fadden, it sounds like tonight you have spoken a lot to these ICE agents. You say that they are cordial, and you have spoken on many times with these agents, but one thing I ask is, why haven't you spoken to us? You have all these stories of your interactions with them, but what about your stories? Have you spoken to the Plymouth families that are locked in their homes and they fear that they leave, that they'll be taken? Have you spoken to other observers who have been impacted, or like the gentleman before whose barns were investigated?
Mr. Wu,
by
you're
ICE?
over 4 minutes now,
Okay.
so if you could wrap it up.
Absolutely. Just want to say that and give you that anecdote. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, I have Cheryl Holm. I'm trying to Holm Hansen. Can you help me out with that last name?
You got it.
I got it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cheryl.
So thank you for hearing us tonight. I also was in the 2-hour session. And I'm speaking to you as a 20-year plus resident. I've raised my kids here. I own 3 businesses in Plymouth. I am one of your constituents. Like Daniel, I am also a constitutional observer, and I am dedicating 20 plus hours a week, volunteering my time to try to keep the community safe. I'm asking you, please, to take some stronger actions to protect all of us. While many people prefer to stay anonymous, I'm proud to say I'm a constitutional observer. I'm trained. Like Daniel, I don't impede. I'm not confrontational. As a white woman, I feel like I have a place in this movement. I'm not a direct target of ICE. But every day I see agents in Plymouth, in our public spaces, on the roadways, outside our schools, in our stores, and in our parks. And this includes near daily sightings at French Park, which we have been documenting and sharing with park leadership. And I'm happy to share that documentation and photos with you if you wish. I'm also happy to answer any questions that you have about being a constitutional observer. I have personally witnessed many examples of agents breaking state and federal laws. These violations include illegal use of license plates, reckless driving, assault, property destruction, and abduction of U.S. citizens. While many people here were probably watching the Super Bowl, I was being threatened at gunpoint by an ICE agent, not in Plymouth, but in a neighboring suburb, for sitting in my car filming an illegal action. If I were to engage in any of these behaviors that ICE agents are exhibiting every day, I would rightfully be arrested. However, simply on the basis of their government employment, these agents have been given free rein to terrorize community members. The situation is, of course, much worse for those individuals and families who are being targeted, often for nothing more than their presumed ethnicity and spoken language. Families, many of who have the legal authority to be here, are afraid to leave their homes, and I'm seeing Plymouth residents taking responsibility for providing care, compassion, and resources to these neighbors, while our government and law enforcement are either not getting involved or supporting those who are causing harm. I suspect that many of you are not hearing about what is happening to us out on the streets because, frankly, due to stories like Daniel's, our training now includes not to contact Plymouth law enforcement if we're in trouble and to try to get to other safe places on our own because we don't feel supported or protected. Regardless of where you each stand on the political spectrum, I would love to believe that you sought this position because of your love for our community. If so, please love all of us. This should not be a partisan issue. It's an issue of human compassion, dignity, and safety. I understand the complexity and risk associated with your position, but I'm asking you to please stand with the community, including those who are being targeted and those who are volunteering countless hours on our own to try to keep the community protected. Speak out in support of our immigrant neighbors and helpers. Stop allowing federal agents to use our public lands to plan and carry out attacks. Enforce the law, even when the criminals are federal agents. Protect us when we ask you for help, and ensure that our food shelves and other resources are safe places. Be a visible presence and take the leadership. We need that leadership to build safety and to strengthen our community. If you can stand up for us in this moment, I think that you'll find that many of us will stand with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. Next, I have Craig Britton and Audrey Britton. I don't know who wants to speak first.
Worship.
In thought and deed. It was great talk tonight. Now, what are you going to do? When somebody calls 911 and 911 says, no, we're not coming, when they're a citizen or a legal immigrant, a member of this community, that is just thought, not deed. Every day, I hear stories of people who hide in their homes, who are legally here. You talk about listening sessions, you won't get those people to come out of their house. Get real. You are the leaders of this community. If we can't call on you, who do we call? You're it, Chief Fadden. You're the last line of defense. And you're telling me that Holman is trustworthy? Baloney. He takes orders from a president who cannot tell the truth to save his soul, who just put a president of the United States and his wife on social media as apes. Is that the kind of country that we want? Is that the kind of community we want?
I don't think so. Evil wins when good people do nothing. I know that every single one of you is a good person. You cannot let bullshit rules stand in the way of doing the right thing. So get off your ass. Do it. Do it because it's right. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. And Audrey Britton.
So I'm a constitutional observer. I've been to 3 trainings. I started this last summer. I started tracking ice in Plymouth last summer. We had kept a list of at least 11 credible viewings, witnessed, filmed, and gave them to some council members, and it really went nowhere. I have taken the training 3 times, and the last time I took the training, somebody asked about the police, and they said, oh, every police department in the United States has been trained about constitutional observers. I can tell you, based on my most recent incident, I find that hard to believe. And I know we can't talk here, but I would like to know if you've had training, if your people have had training, because I don't think they have. And I'll leave it at that. We can talk. You know, things keep coming up here that remind me of so many things that we've been working on. And when I say we, Plymouth DEI, which now has over 1,000 members, the vast majority of them right here in Plymouth. And I'm just a bit player in that. It's all about the work that we all do. But you talked about our Somali neighbors. We asked for a simple statement, like so many other cities did, that simply said, we support our Somali neighbors. We have a large Somali community here in Plymouth, a thriving community with some wonderful leaders, and nothing. We did nothing. Didn't even get a response back. The one thing that I kept not hearing in this meeting earlier is not that you represent the people, us. Every single person sitting there, you represent the people. I never heard that once. I never heard in service of the people we will do this. I heard a bunch of other stuff, but as a citizen sitting with everyone else, we were all looking around making comments. Sorry, I've got off track here, but one other thing I want to comment on what happened in the session earlier. Somebody said, we don't want to put no ICE signs up because it will create a sense of false security. Richfield got those signs up within days. Don't know how they did it, but they put no ICE signs up. I don't know why Plymouth seems to rarely be able to do what other cities seem to be able to do. And I think it might have something to do with values, not everyone's values, but I think some people with opposing values have a louder voice than the rest of us. Last summer, I saw a situation where there's a crossing, and the drivers are coming around a curve fast, and they're going to be watching traffic here to merge. And I got very worried that someone was going to be hit easily. I said, could we put up a crosswalk? No, it might give people a false sense of security, so we can't do that. People run red lights. Should we take down all the street lights because it gives people a false sense of security? So I don't know if this is a talking point, but I keep hearing it over and over again, and I wish we would start listening to the people that you represent better. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next is Robert Courtney. Okay, got it right in the second attempt.
Thank you, Mayor. Robert Courtney, I live on Medicine Lake. I live in Ward 3. Councilmember Aldrich is my resident from my ward. In my 3 minutes, I would just urge the council to contemplate 2 words, and those are courage and action. I did not expect, when I sat down for this forum, to hear so many stories of courage from members of the Plymouth community. I don't know what I expected, but I have been inspired seeing people throughout Plymouth going out of their way to act, to show courage, to become constitutional observers and go out, to collect. I know people collecting art supplies for people who are trapped in their homes. I know people in this room who are doing ride home, ride to work programs, volunteer programs, people taking their time to go and do these things. They are exhibiting courage. They're exhibiting action. It is in the best example of what I think Plymouth can be as a city. And I urge the council to contemplate that as it considers how it wants to move forward right now. And I want to specifically comment on the counterpart to that, which is passivity. There's a temptation to say it'll blow over. This is not the time for that. This is the time to act for the people who have been out there taking on risk for their community, for their neighbors, for their friends, for their family. And I do have to comment, several people have mentioned it, but Councilmember Aldrich, you mentioned our oath does not include defending the Constitution. That's Representative Morrison. Your oath was, in fact, to defend the Constitution of the United States and Minnesota. You can look it up. It's on your website. And I think we should all contemplate that, because that's an example of we can't be passive. Now is not the time to say, Kelly Morrison will handle that, or Amy Klobuchar is going to handle that. The time is now for action. And so with my remaining 47 seconds, I'll say I did send a resolution around, which I hope the council will find useful as it thinks about moving forward. And my resolution called for action. I think it's shameful that people in this room are saying they were scared to call the Plymouth PD. And I realized that was not the Plymouth PD's intent, but that is the experience of the residents here. And so I proposed a resolution that this council take action and instruct the PD to create a task force for evidence gathering and investigation for the things we're seeing, so that the proper authorities can determine whether to prosecute. That's been circulated. I have copies here if anyone wants them, or if members of the community want them. And I urge the council to consider it, and I thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Courtney. Then I have Sarah Anderson. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. It's great to be here. I was also at the listening session. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My head's kind of a whirl. There's been a lot said. There was a lot in that meeting. There's a lot going on. The immigration issues that we have as a country are not new. They're decades old. And so we're sitting in a position now where we're forced to deal with it in a way that we haven't had. Everybody's wanted to kick it down the road because it's unpleasant. It's hard and it's painful. I'm very saddened by the things that have happened. I'm saddened by the stories that I hear. And I'm also saddened that the rule of law as it relates to immigration has been so desecrated for so long that it really doesn't mean anything anymore. Not to people wanting to come in, not to people who are trying to make sense of it now. I think our laws need to be perhaps updated and addressed, and we have legal avenues to do that. So what I would ask for our city council and for our members and for our council to encourage the city of Plymouth is to educate ourselves on these issues, what our legal documentation actually says, which I'm working on. I've been as guilty as anyone of not knowing the detail in these things. And it's in order to have helpful, productive dialogue, we need to educate ourselves first. And I will admit I need to do more homework on my own. And I would just ask that for you as a council, as well as the community at large, that we can extend grace and patience. This is a very difficult time. People feel very strongly on lots of different sides, and we want to stick together as a community overall. We want to come through this whole. And so that would be my admonition to you guys, and also to my fellow community members. I'm a longtime member of Plymouth. Over 50 years, and I'm happy to be here, and I hope to contribute in positive ways. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah. That's all the cards we have for the Plymouth Forum. So then we will, and I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their evenings. It's not easy to come out on even though it's a nice February evening, relatively speaking, to what we had 2 weeks ago. But thank you for coming out and speaking and sharing your thoughts and concerns with us, because the council needs to hear that. That's why we have a Plymouth Forum. So you're right, we have gotten lots and lots and lots and lots of emails. Some are on one side of the issue, some are on the other side of the issue of the whole ICE immigration thing. We have a lot of diversity of thought in our community that's out there. So we have to take all those different thoughts that we hear from people and try and do the best we can. You know, we're literally, our police department, and we're literally trying to thread a needle here, where ICE has the right to do that, but we're trying to keep our community safe. And so we really appreciate everything you have to say and share with us. I'd also point out that for those that weren't at the meeting, because of the increase in rent assistance and utility assistance and delivery of food services by ILCP and PRISM, we're going to make $10,000 donation to each of those organizations, and then see how this month goes and see where we're at in another 30 days. So I think that's something very tangible the city can do to help out some families in need. So we'll move on then to approving the agenda. Council members may add items to the agenda, including items contained in the council information memorandum for discussion purposes or staff direction only. The council will not normally take official action on items added to the agenda. Mr. Spoon, Councilmember Spoonheim, I believe you have a resolution to add.
Mayor, I'd like to introduce a resolution affirming community values and stewardship of community resources amidst the immigration enforcement operations. I believe it would become item 8.4 at the end.
All right. We'll add that item as 8.4.
I'd move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jody, we need to do roll call, but because we have two council members who are remote. Jody, roll call.
Nelson?
Aye.
Weiner?
Aye.
Spoonheim?
Aye.
Gregor?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Aldridge?
Aye.
Washi?
Aye. That brings us to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or individual so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed elsewhere on the agenda. Go to the council first. Anything to be removed from consent? Then I'll go to the audience. I do have a card from Ann Pura. Is it? Pierce? Sorry. Did you want item?
No, unless there's questions.
Only if there's questions. No one wanted to pull anything, so they would have if they had questions. So, okay. Look for a motion then on consent.
Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jody, do roll call, please.
Nelson?
Aye.
Weiner?
Aye.
Spoonheim?
Aye.
Gregor?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Aldridge?
I want to say, is it okay if I say something?
Depends what you want to say.
Well, I know, so our agenda, we're doing zoning ordinance changes for beekeeping, and I know Ann is a big advocate of that. Do we want to pull that out of the agenda if you wanted to say anything about it? I don't know. That's my thought.
No.
Okay.
Jeez. Okay.
All right. Aye.
Washi?
Aye. That passes. That brings us, there's no public hearings tonight, so that brings us to general business, except the small area plan for southeast quadrant at 494 and 55. Who's doing this one?
Mr. Mayor? Mayor?
Yeah, Grant?
Council, yes.
You
I
got
can
this?
introduce this item, and then I'll turn it over to our presenter, or representative from TKDA. So just briefly, as council is aware, we've been working on a small area plan for the southeast corner of 494 and 55. Going back to last spring, we had a study session with the council to do a visioning session to talk about goals and things that the council and the community might want. That process was fairly extensive, involved community input. We had stakeholder engagement with neighbors, people that were in and around that area, as well as developers. So we're very excited to present that plan this evening. And we have Sam McKinney from TKDA who will be presenting that item. I just want to thank the TKDA staff, thank all the stakeholders, the staff that have been involved in this process. It's been a long road, but we're excited that we're here at the end. Once Sam has completed her presentation, we'll stand for any questions. We do have a resolution at the end that we're asking you to adopt, accepting the study. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sam.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Mayor and council members. I'm excited to give you an overview of where we ended with this plan. This is the third time that we're presenting this information, so I will try to be very quick on this front end information and give you an overview of where we landed. So I want to touch on the background, just to make sure everyone's familiar with what the study area is, talk about the initial design concepts, share a little bit about what we heard from stakeholders in this process, and then again, share that preferred concept. So we were studying the area at 494 and 55. We've got the boundary here in red. The land use that we were really looking at for redevelopment was north of 26th Avenue. We did extend the boundary south due to some circulation concerns. The city currently owns the site at the Red Roof Inn here. The Ramada Hotel is on the west, Broadway Pizza's on the north, and then there's a couple other businesses that are on the central and east side of the site. So to reach our findings, we started with background and analysis. We did a deep dive in what the site was telling us from physical characteristics, and then also looked at some socioeconomic trends around the project area. We did stakeholder engagement. We met with the watershed district, Metro Transit, the county, MnDOT to make sure we understood the Alina Health on the north, to make sure we understood the goals of all the stakeholders surrounding the project area. We developed different alternatives. We held a public open house and then talked to some developers about the viability of the concepts, and then drafted a final concept that took all the best pieces of all of them that were supported to come up with one final recommendation. We had 4 project goals that drove the process. We want to develop a vision for redevelopment in the project area, identify opportunities to improve safety, mobility, including evaluation of a potential grade-separated crossing along 55, quantify the traffic impacts, and align recommendations with the long-term goals of the city. So after our deep site analysis, we came up with a design framework. The site is sort of an awkward shape for redevelopment, and it made sense that we broke it out into these 3 zones, big picture about how redevelopment could occur in the project area. So on the west was more institutional campus zone, the central became a residential transit zone, and the east side was a commercial zone. We also developed a design framework to help guide some of the design decisions that we were making in the process. So connect to plan transit, create residential density that coincides with the average highway BRT recommendations, develop for the short and long-term goals of the city, and then increase green space. So I won't go into detail with these concepts. They are well documented into the report, but we had the first concept, which was a promenade district that was really around, all the development was centralized around this core of a pedestrian promenade that connected to the existing trail along Xenium. We had an entertainment district that tried to focus all of the development around a core destination entertainment use at the center of the site and having everything radiate around that. And then finally, a Greenway Commons district that brought vehicle circulation into the site and made it more of a greenway connection so that we could increase green space with that as well, but allow vehicles to connect all the way through. So the stakeholder feedback that we had after we last met with you all, we met with the public first. We invited all of the property owners as well as a radius around the project area. We held it here. We had a presentation about what we were thinking and what the concepts were, and then we opened it up to some general Q&A and then had posters and asked people to come and provide feedback. That was on November 18th. Generally, there was a lot of support for redevelopment in the project area. Community members felt like that's going to be an improvement and that they'd like to see something different happen there. There was a desire for the site to be a unique destination for the community. There wasn't an overwhelming preference for any concept, but we heard a lot about we'd like to have certain types of uses out there. Obviously, we can't dictate what businesses are going to go where as part of this process, but we heard a lot about wanting special, very Plymouth-focused, Plymouth-owned companies to be here. There was some concerns about potentially increasing traffic and some existing sightline issues. A lot of the traffic concerns we heard were from some of the existing conditions that are happening out there as well. And then, like I said, a preference for small local businesses. After we met with the public, we had what we called a developer forum. We invited local developers who have either expressed interest or developed mixed-use types of development and presented the concepts to them as well. They were generally supportive of all the concepts. I think we did hear the word ambitious, which is always good. So they did say that. The concept 2, which was the Greenway District, was the preferred. They felt like that was the most well-positioned for to be developed immediately. Market conditions for medical office are slowing down, they said, and so when looking at that campus use, they recommended that we be flexible about how we communicate what that could be. They felt like there was a good relationship to Allina Health, though, and that there could be some movement there, but we're sort of cautious that that development has been slowing down recently. There was some mixed reactions regarding the hotel and then questions regarding the overall land ownership strategies. So they're considering how they would develop it. The city owns a part of the site. How do they manage the redevelopment of the entire area? So with all that, the final concept, like I said, we took elements from each of the concepts to come up with this preferred one. We felt like it made sense to start with a concept that had the most viability to redevelop in the short term, and then wanted to make sure that we put in some of the long-term goals that we had heard from the public and from you all as well. So everything is centered around that entertainment use at the center. So this is something that's a destination for the community. It could be Slick City in Maple Grove, or it could be a brewery, something like that, but something that would draw people to the site. And then from there, we have a hotel at the northwest corner, capitalizing on the visibility at 494 and 55. And then some type of campus institutional. We expanded what we described it as a corporate campus. Maybe there's a business that comes in there, or it could be medical. Commercial along 55, and then closer to Xenium to capitalize on access and then visibility to 55, and then some residential buildings as well. We did put in a strong pedestrian promenade through here and then increased green space throughout the entire site. Circulation-wise, there's still the roundabout at Xenium like we presented in the previous concepts. We are showing a planned future transit stop and then also a grade-separated crossing over to Allina Health as well. So similar to the other concepts, we broke these down to help kind of understand what these could look and feel like. We added some precedent imagery. We wanted to show the development community that there is a desire for this to be a beautiful site and that we want to use high quality materials, nice beautiful brickwork, nice glazing, that type of thing, but also that we want there to be indoor-outdoor space as well. So something that is flexible in use that could draw people at all seasons. The open space, we pulled things away. We heard from MnDOT that there was a preference to pull things away from 55 a little bit, so we pulled that trail closer into the site. But basically, this can be an amenity through the project area, and we want to support all the uses through this shared connection outdoors. And then finally, the parking here. So there is a shared parking ramp located near the hotel and the commercial space that is close to the transit, and then shared parking strategies for surface lots as well. That was really quick. I promised I would be. Are there any questions?
Questions? Councilmember Spoonheim.
I don't have any questions. I just want to compliment you. I heard from a number of property owners who came out to the community conversation and just appreciated the fact that they could see different choices and that the feedback was taken. And also just recognition that this at least is now helping us indicate to the market when it's ready, like, here's some ideas. And obviously we have to be reactive to what the market will bear, but at least you've helped us define what will pass muster. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question, like, what developers were involved? How many developers were giving their input? Just curious, given where the state of development is, were they commenting on the state of development today, which has commercial space kind of challenging, hotels are retracting, not expanding, versus what they envision the needs are 10 years from now?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members. You're going to scratch my memory here. So I know that there were different mixed-use developers. I know Doran was present, Hempel. I'm going to forget them, and they might be watching, so I'm sorry. We had about 10 people representing, I think, four or five firms, but we can verify that information for you.
Okay.
About who exactly was invited.
Did their perspective, was it like current market conditions or anticipating like, boy, we got a lull on commercial, we got a lull on hotels, but we think those are going to bounce back and demand's going to like naturalize or whatever to a more stabilized point from what it is today?
Yeah, a great question. They approached it from kind of both. Their immediate response was that commercial is really difficult right now. Things change quickly, and they said they're looking at it from what's today. There's a lot of vacancy out there, and so it's hard to develop new commercial space, but if you can find a good tenant and work together, that can work. And so they thought that there were some partnerships that could happen. They talked a lot about how some of the more aspirational things that we were looking at would require good partnership with the city. What we came away with from that conversation is that the immediate demand and the highest demand is residential right now, and multifamily specifically. We are identifying some multifamily in here. I can go back to the concept as well. You can look at this from different opportunities of the city-owned parcel versus other parcels, and how there could be some overall strategies. So they felt like the hotel was probably the least viable in the short term, but the residential was the highest, but development changes pretty quickly, long and quickly at the same time. But commercial is just really challenging, they said.
All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Pardon? Yeah.
Can I just offer an additional observation? I think one of the things we also heard was there was concern about the timing. I think they appreciate the input that the city has with regard to a plan, and they're aware, obviously, of the city's purchase of the Red Roof Inn. But a big thing is timing, and you have multiple parcels that would have to be assembled. And so I think for them, connecting the dots, how would that happen? Is there a role for the city to play, perhaps with additional redevelopment assistance or additional acquisition? I think that's the part where there was some uncertainty on their part, like how long would this take? It depends on how we assemble a site of this size. So I think they were responding with interest, but not really certain about the timing, if that helps.
So how does this concept look with Broadway Pizza sitting where it's at today?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and council members. I don't have it in the presentation, but in the report, we do have a phased option. So all of the concepts can work with Broadway remaining in place.
Councilmember Gregor.
Thank you for the report and for the work on this. I did attend the resident feedback session in here, and obviously our study sessions before. I was thinking the same thing basically as the mayor, but not just about Broadway Pizza, but did you hear from other businesses that are there currently? And can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Gregor. We didn't have every single owner there, but they were all invited. We heard from most of them. They didn't provide a ton of feedback. We honestly didn't get a lot of feedback from anyone that said, I love this concept. But they were very interested, and they were talking to each other and having conversations amongst each other. There were also some property owners just within the project boundary, but not within the land use boundary, that were present as well, that were talking to each other. So I think that there are conversations happening and general interest, but we weren't asking them about timing or anything like that. So no one came to us and shared, opposition of anything, nor did they share a preference for a certain scenario either.
At least they were invited.
They were, and they were there.
No opposition, I guess, is good. We want those businesses to be considered and be heard. I'm excited to see this plan. We've talked, many people on this council, about a rooftop something. So even just putting it in there, is a nice thing. It's a dream, at least for a hotel or whatever. my only feedback is I wish there was more green, right, and less parking, or another parking ramp, and then we could have more plaza and communal space or whatever. You know, the fountain is beautiful, but it seems like it's just a road around it, and it's not something that like the public can engage with as a green space. So, just a comment. I'm happy to accept the report, and at least we're setting a direction. I know whatever the future holds, it's not going to look exactly like this, but it's going to look better as we go. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Pointner.
I just have a question, and I have a bad memory tonight. Have we talked with some of those businesses about rebuilding them and including them in here in another way, like maybe Broadway Pizza's main floor and apartments? So I'm not saying that I'm just saying, have we talked with changing that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Pointer. We did not discuss with property owners how development scenarios could be assembled between them. We were careful actually to really just create a vision for the project area and not try to assemble land on behalf of any project area or project property owners. But, you know, we didn't see there were conversations being had, but we didn't discuss phasing or how we can incorporate existing businesses. It was discussed on a pretty high level, I would say, but not in an individual scenario.
Mayor, one
Yeah,
additional comment. Sam is probably not aware of this, but staff has had some subsequent conversations with some, not all the property owners there. Not all of them are interested in staying, but we have initiated some of those conversations, so we kind of have a sense of who would like to stay. How they might be incorporated is obviously a conversation that would have to happen at a later date, but we are having that dialogue.
Please say Broadway Pizza.
We hope to.
Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
This doesn't require any action on.
So, Mayor, we do have a resolution.
Is there a resolution? Yes. Okay. Then I'll look for someone to motion the resolution. Yes.
I motion that we accept the resolution for the small area plan for the southeast quadrant of 494 and 55.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Jody, roll call.
Nelson?
Aye.
Whitener?
Aye.
Spoonheim?
Aye.
Gregor?
Aye.
Peterson?
Aye.
Aldridge?
Aye.
Washi?
Aye. Sorry, I had a sidebar going. All right, and that passes. We are going to take a 5-minute recess for a health break. We will be back very, very quickly.
We're taking a recess? Okay.
All right, we're going to move on then to item 8.2, adopt 4D, Affordable Housing Incentive Program and Housing Improvement Area Plan. Stephen?
All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'll just provide a brief overview of these two housing policies for consideration. So they were discussed at the study session, but I'll still provide a brief overview for the benefit of those that are listening tonight. These two policies were developed using input from neighboring communities. We wanted to create procedures specifically for Plymouth and provide a clear outline of our program, but also make sure taking into consideration what's outlined in our state statute. So we utilized housing policies and insights from our neighboring communities, also input from our legal department or from the city attorney's office, and then input and discussion from the HRA Commission. So these policies have gone before the HRA Commission a number of times. They've been refined by the Commission and thoughtfully developed for implementation in the community. I'll start with an overview of the HIA policy or the HIA program, and then move into the policy specific for Plymouth. So what is a housing improvement area? It's a public financing tool. It allows the city to finance common area improvement projects in townhomes or condominiums. It is a last resort financing option, so it's only for improvements, common area improvements to those associations that are repairs that are outside the reach of their reserves and can't be financed through commercial loans or private owner loans. So the debt is repaid then through the repairs are financed by the city, and then the debt's repaid through the collection of the HIA fees and paid through the property owner's taxes, similar to like a special assessment, like we typically think about with our streets repairs. It does carry a 20-year maximum term. So this program's designed for owner-occupied properties and goes toward the preservation of NOAA, or naturally occurring affordable housing. So the types of improvements that are eligible are listed here below. It's general maintenance and capital improvements that are the responsibility of the association. This is not an extensive list, but it's the typical things that we'd see for this program. The specific areas are defined by the Homeowners Association Declaration or their HOA bylaws. So the process is determined by state statute that's outlined here. I'll just go through it real quickly, kind of to give an overview of how the process works. The HOA begins a contact with the city through the petition. It's required that a majority of the property owners petition the city. Then we hold a public hearing and establish an ordinance or adopt an ordinance to establish an HIA. After that ordinance is adopted, notice is mailed to the property owners, and they have the right to veto that 45-day veto period, and it requires 45% to approve a veto or sustain a veto. After that, let's say it's adopted, we move into the procurement or contractor procurement. The financed amounts, the term, interest rates are all determined, and then the financial plan is where the HOA prepares a long-range maintenance, operations, and capital improvement plan to make sure that as these monies are put in here, the reserves are put in are set at an appropriate level to avoid further financial issues. We do hold a second public hearing. That's to provide the authority to impose those fees. After that, there is also a second veto period, same 45 days and 45%. Then the financing is issued to the HOA. The repairs are done. The HOA is then required to submit annual financial statements to the city for monitoring. So how the policy looks specifically for Plymouth is we're requiring 65% owner approval at the time of petition and an initial application fee of $1,000. There's also a $10,000 escrow deposit that's required for consultation fees, legal fees, project management fees, things of that nature. That is an escrow, and so if those funds are depleted, the HOA is required to replenish those, and then any monies that are left over at the end of the project close are returned to the HOA. We also have an administrative fee, which is the greater of 1% of the total amount financed, or $5,000. That is will incorporate the final amount will incorporate all of the costs to repair for the repairs, the interest, and any fees that are imposed by the city. We included a schedule for accepting applications June 1st through September 30th in consideration of other programs that are managed by staff. That would be the time staff would be most attentive to the applications as they come in. We're also requiring that any HIA financed property or project adhere to a property standards, which speaks to health and safety and code enforcement concerns. And then we set our minimum financed amount at $300,000. I would like to mention that staff's currently working with, there has been a conversation with 2 HOAs that are interested in utilizing this, this program. And so the policy provides a framework for the program. Ultimately, when it comes to any one of these projects, they will come before City Council for approval. Next, I'll move on to our 4D Affordable Housing Incentive Program. I'll just provide a brief overview of the program again.
Mayor? Mayor?
Councilor Poitner?
If we have questions on the HIA, are we going to ask them later? Or?
Do you want to get through your presentation and then open it up for questions?
I'm fine either way. It may just make more sense, Mayor, to go through the questions now if it's specific to the HIA policy.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember
I just
Poitner.
wanted to know, is there a certain set? Is there a certain set of dollars for this program for every year? So you apply at a certain time in the year and then the whole process starts. Is there a certain set of dollars, or just the city will help? No, you see what I'm asking?
Mayor and council member, I believe I understand. So there isn't like a set aside fund for this program. It would be through the issuance of debt. And so, I mean, I could ask maybe Grant if you could help speak to this a little further.
Mayor and Councilmember Pointner. So, I mean, there isn't a pot of money for this program. This is all initiated by the HOA themselves. So the time window for applying is more of a staff capacity question. So that would be the window that we would accept applications. But it's quite a process that they would need to go through before a project would even be initiated. But we don't have a separate pot of money. This is all paid for by the HOA.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grant.
Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
Yep, I'll continue on then with the affordable housing, or the 4D Affordable Housing Incentive Program. So this is a tool to aid in the preservation of affordable rental properties. This is a multifamily, typically geared toward multifamily properties, and again goes toward the preservation of NOAA. It offers a lower tax rate for properties that participate in one of these programs. Specifically, we're looking at the 4th bullet, which is a rent and income restriction with a declaration recorded against the property, and it does require a local financial incentive by the community. So for that, it offers a tax rate of 0.25, so a reduced tax rate down from the market tax rate of 1.25 for property owners that agree to keep a portion of their units affordable to households at or below 60% AMI. The initial participation is granted by the city with that incentive. It's typically a per unit incentive, and there is an affordability declaration that's recorded on the property. So the affordability declaration states that at least 20%, but it could be up to 100% determined by the owner, property owner, that those units will remain affordable to households at 60% AMI or below, and then the rents for those assisted units will not exceed 30% of the 60% AMI, as the table indicates. And it's important to note that if a building is sold throughout the process, the declaration remains with the property itself for the remainder of that affordability period. So the owner must annually reapply for the participation in the program. They must also certify that those property tax savings that are garnered from that reduced tax rate are used on one or more of these eligible uses. The program for Plymouth starts with a 5-year agreement for eligibility and with a 5-year renewal option. We also provide $100 per unit incentive, up to $5,000 per property maximum for participation in the program. That's a one-time payment. They also pay for the first year application fee, which is $10 per unit. And we're proposing this program as a 2-year pilot starting this year to see how it reacts within the community. and the funding will be paid out of the HRA reserves. So I would like to note that this policy was developed utilizing information and conversations with neighboring communities that may have the program in place. And so we developed a 5-year term agreement that was proposed to attract landlords that were maybe concerned about a longer term commitment. So a 5-year with an optional 5-year renewal. We have been in conversation, staff has been in conversation with ODC, who would like to utilize this program as an additional incentive and a financial package for the acquisition of a property. And through that, their underwriting is asking for a longer term commitment. And so I will just move forward with a couple of different options for tonight. First of all, I would recommend that council adopt the HIA program, or the Plymouth Housing Improvement Area policy, so we can put that as a framework to begin working with those two homeowners associations that are interested in participation. And then next, we'd recommend, so these are 3 different options that staff recommend for the 4D program. Either adopt the 4D program as it is with the 5-year agreement and a 5-year renewal, and then any proposed deviation from that policy as stated with like a longer term could come back to council and on an independent basis or on a per case basis. The next option would be for council to adopt the 4D program but include a maximum term, so we keep a 5-year minimum agreement and a maximum term. We're suggesting a 25-year maximum because that's falls in line with other financial incentives like TIF or low-income housing tax credit or even our inclusionary housing policy all hold a 25-year affordability period. And then lastly, council could provide staff direction, make updates or changes to this 4D policy, and then we could bring it back at a future meeting for further discussion and adoption. With that, I'll stand for questions.
So, Stephen, on the middle bullet here, maximum terms of 25 years, if an owner wanted to do a 5-year and a 5-year option, they could still do that. That's just saying this is the maximum.
Mayor and council, that is correct.
Okay. Questions? Councilor Aldrich?
So the 25-year, is that what the underwriter is looking for this particular property?
Mayor and council, through our preliminary conversations, it's been a 20-year suggestion is what the underwriter was looking for.
Okay. And my other question too is, do you think, because I think Plymouth generally has a little bit higher rents, do you think that the interest in this is not going to be as popular? And if we get one property that has it and they want to go 25 years, but we later abandon the program, could we abandon the program and continue to support that, whatever the properties are that are utilizing the program? Or would we have to continue the program for 25 years? Yeah, that's my question.
Sure, Mayor and council, thank you for the question. No, the declaration would be intact for the 25 years. That doesn't mean that the program would have to be administered by the city through that portion. The annual compliance is required by the property owner to continue that compliance to Minnesota Housing. And so their declaration would state their affordability term regardless of the state of our 4D program within the city.
Other questions? Councilmember Gregor.
I'm looking at the second bullet point about the maximum term of 25 years, but the proposed resolution, ordinance, policy has a minimum of 5 years and just no maximum. Is that clear? Or like there's minimum and maximum. Like I would like to see something stay affordable even longer than 25 years. So why have a 25-year maximum? I guess I might lean toward the first bullet point and let the council vote on any one and say if they want 20 years, well, great. If they want 30 years, I don't know. I mean, or is there a reason that somebody wouldn't want to ask us for 30 years? Is that like the developer or something like that?
Mayor and council, it's, the minimum 5 years is, I mean, both an opportunity to attract someone that would like a shorter term, but also to make sure that we keep these properties affordable for at least a measurable length of time. And hopefully as an opportunity just to give the property owner maybe a taste for what that tax savings could provide them by way of additional monies for repairs and allow them to keep the rents lower. And then at that rate or at that point, they would hopefully ask for an additional term. The reason we determined that 25 years seemed to make the most sense was because of the other programs that it kind of aligns with a pretty standard affordability period. There isn't really a restriction behind how long it could go on, at least not in state statute. And so our main concern or main purpose for leaving it at 25 years was to just stay something consistent within a typical affordability period.
Thank you. Just one other question. There was a previous slide where you showed like 60% AMI and so on. These are rents that are on the table, right? Not incomes.
Mayor and council, that is correct. This would be the rent ceiling for a 60%, a 30% of 60% AMI.
And if I think I read it in the packet, but we would be able to, from time to time, adjust this or something like that. It's not like we're setting these as a permanent rent because of inflation and so on. Is that correct?
Mayor and council, that is correct, but it is set by HUD or by housing and urban development based on our geographical location in the metro area.
So yeah, we don't get to say, I think rent should be $2,304. It's basically whatever HUD says for the area of Plymouth.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councilmember Poitner.
So just to clarify, it'll say minimum of 5 years. Can you go to that slide that talked about the 5 years?
Whoops.
Not this one, the other one that said minimum of 5 years. So it will say 5-year term agreement for eligibility for property tax rate. So it'll say minimum 5 year and then add in the 25?
Mayor and council, that's correct. We would make an adjustment to it to specify a maximum term of 25 years.
So when we approve this, that's what we have to say that as an amendment, or how is that working? Like, what do we have to say?
Mayor and council, so the resolution would need to be revised to add that language, if you'd like that to be clarified.
Okay. Councilmember Spoonheim.
Thank you. So Grant, you just prompted my next question. Where exactly do we need to amend it in the resolution? Can you help me see it? Because I don't see where to put it.
So Mayor and council, I think when we drafted this resolution, we did not have a maximum in mind. So we would need to add that. I need to find the resolution.
So if I may, I don't see the minimum stated either in the resolution unless it's, yeah. Does somebody know where it is?
I think it would be the policy document, not the resolution document that we would amend. So the policy in our packet is titled 4D, Affordable Housing Incentive Program.
Correct.
Mayor and council, that is correct. The resolution doesn't state a term limit.
Great. So I just want to reiterate, I do think because investors sometimes want to ensure like the city isn't going to change its mind after a 5-year, that we have the ability when requested from a developer to do the 25-year extension for all the reasons Stephen has outlined as it ties to so many of the other affordable housing tools that we have. So this is consistent with when they would be doing a reinvestment. So I just want to say I think we should amend the policy first bullet where it says 5-year eligibility up to 25 years, which provides blah, blah, blah. So that would be my suggestion. And ask staff to put it in a nice non-blah, blah, blah way.
Yeah. So, sorry, we don't have to touch the resolution.
The resolution's fine. I think if there is a motion to adopt the resolutions as presented with an amendment to the policy expressing the 5-year minimum, 25-year max, that covers us.
So moved.
I was just going to ask.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve both resolutions and amend the housing improvement area policy. Any other discussion?
Clarification, the 4D policy, not the
Or the
housing
4D
improvement.
policy.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yep.
No further.
All right. Jody, roll call.
Nelson.
Aye.
Whitener.
Aye.
Spoonheim.
Aye.
Gregor.
Aye.
Peterson.
Aye.
Aldridge.
Aye.
Washi.
Aye. That passes. All right. Next, we are moving on to discuss proposed improvements to Vinewood Lane.
Which one's yours? Right here. And then share. Okay. Nope. I think we hit. Share. Yep. We'll get there. And then you want this one. Yes. And then this. And then I think you wanted this. There you go. Thank you.
Is this a joke that says how many engineers does it take to?
That is 3, by the way. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Joe Shamla. I am the Assistant City Engineer. First time presenting here, so thank you for giving me the time and space to talk about Vinewood Lane. So what we're looking for tonight is feedback regarding one of the intersections. We plan to reconstruct or rehab Vinewood Lane in 2027. So there'll be some significant upgrades to Vinewood Lane, and one of the intersections has, we have some questions and looking for some feedback from you. So a little bit of background on Vinewood. We're looking at currently, we're going to be looking at different options as it goes north of the intersection. The intersection that we're going to be talking about tonight is the intersection at Sunshine, near Sunshine Factory. So if you can see the pointer, Target is right here. We got Rockford Road and Northwest Boulevard. And then the intersection in particular we're looking for feedback on is at Sunshine Factory. The project would include a proposed trail on the west side of Vinewood Lane, some right-of-way acquisition, which is why we're here tonight. That process takes a while, and we need to start moving on that for a 2027 project. We met with the businesses on both sides regarding both of the concepts. Currently, the intersection is 2 lanes in each direction. That leads to some confusion. So for people heading to Target or any of the businesses in the area with the 2 lanes in each direction and a 4-way stop, they definitely have a lot of close calls there. Luckily, not a lot of bad accidents, but there's definitely driver confusion. There is long pedestrian crossings as people trying to get across from one side of Vinewood to the other. And currently, there's a trail on the east side. We're looking to add one on the west side as well. One of the options that is under consideration is an enhanced 4-way stop. So basically, what we would do is we've done a traffic analysis on this and have determined that we don't need 4 lanes in each direction. Being that we can remove 1 lane in each direction and still have good traffic flow, we feel like this would be a better alternative to what's out there today. It creates less confusion. There's a shorter pedestrian crossings, and this would add a trail on the west side. So there'd be trail connectivity on both sides of Vinewood Lane up to the Coles entrance. The east side properties have let us know that this is their preference, but we will go to the next concept, which is the roundabout. As you're well aware with the roundabouts on Plymouth Boulevard, a lot of experience with that now in the area, and it creates less driver confusion. We could get improved traffic flow, safer pedestrian crossings, and the western properties have this as their preference. There is a cost to the increased safety. It is $400,000 we're expected to for the additional right-of-way and construction costs.
Joe, why did the eastern property owners prefer the enhanced four-way versus the roundabout?
Thank you for your question, Mayor. The reason the east side liked it better is their tenants have been in those properties for a long time, and they feel like they're successful with what they have. So it's more of change. They're not interested in the change part of it. We're on the west side, like the Holiday property and like Target, have instances in other areas where they've had roundabouts added next to them, and they've liked that better than the four-way stop. So more of a preference, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
So yeah, we'll go to. We're going to be looking for your feedback now. Like I said, the four-way stop, we have less right-of-way acquisition, but in either scenario, we still need to obtain right-of-way. Eastern properties prefer it. The roundabout, we have improved traffic flow, less severe accidents. If an accident is to happen, it's a side swipe, so it's more damage to a vehicle and not hurting any of the occupants. It's safer for the pedestrians. It does come with an additional cost. We have looked into this, and if you can see the diagrams, there's a lot more interactions with vehicles with the four-way stop versus the roundabout. And for safety reasons, we are, as staff, recommending the roundabout. But we're looking for feedback tonight.
Okay. Councilmember Aldrich and Pointner.
Yep. I was just wondering, if we already have a trail on the east side, what is the purpose of putting one on the west side?
Thank you for your question, Councilmember Aldrich. The west side is because there's so much. This is an area with significant traffic flow, and we just want to be able to keep people have the ability to go on either side if they don't want to cross the road. So, I mean, if it's something that council's interested in, we could limit it to one side, but it's more of the connectivity between the different businesses.
Okay, Councilmember Pointner.
So my questions, the first thing that came to my mind is this is such a hot mess. I know I hate saying that with my daughter. That's what she says. This intersection is terrible. I'm constantly over there. My biggest concern, and I want to say I'm for the roundabout because, and it's my concern, is coming off of Rockford. So the two lanes come off Rockford and they go on to, I don't even know the street of this name, Vinewood, and then they come, and now you're going to have somebody quickly coming over because they don't want to go into the Chili side or into the PetSmart. They wanted to go over to Holiday or Target, which is going to take time. But how much, if we have the four-way stop and the required right off, how much is it going to back up onto Rockford? Do you see what I'm saying, Michael?
Mayor and Council, you're asking how far the queue length are backing up with the round, if there's a roundabout there?
If there's not.
Oh, if there's not.
So, thank you for your question, Mayor, Councilmember Pointner. We have looked into that, The delay is more than it would be today. So if you're seeing a delay today, it will be a little more. It does not back up to Rockford Road, but we could find the exact distance. It does function as designed. It's just the roundabout, obviously, with continuous flow will function better.
That was what I was getting at. Thanks.
All right, I have Councilmember Gregor, then Nelson, then Peterson.
Thanks for the presentation, Joe. I drive through this intersection all the time and say, there should be a roundabout. So my family makes fun of me whenever I say that, but at this and other intersections. But my questions, if you can show the roundabout diagram, is it, I see there's sort of a right turn lane still for going toward the east side. Is that just because there's so many lanes approaching that we want to keep that? Because it creates another pedestrian crossing, and it creates potentially another, right, conflict point where somebody's coming through the roundabout to go to the east and somebody's coming to the roundabout to go to the east. Wouldn't it be better to just have a simple roundabout?
So great question, Councilmember Gregor. We, because of the amount, most of the traffic in this area, or a significant portion, is going off into the Coles area or the shopping mall to the east. So when we pull that traffic out, it means that we can go make sure we stay with the one-lane roundabout. If we were to keep it together, it may push to a two-lane roundabout, which would create more safety issues. So we're trying to pull that traffic out so that we can maintain the one lane in each direction.
Thank you. And to me, I mean, I have an untrained eye, so it doesn't look like there's that much right of way to acquire. Like, the roads seem narrower on the east and west and the north, and so is it just like tiny little slivers here and there that we would be acquiring?
Great question, Councilmember Gregor. Yes, so we do have slivers. It's not a lot of square footage, but regardless, the impact, the acquisition of property, especially commercial properties, takes a long time. Yes, it's not a big impact, but as soon as we touch those properties, it can take a while, especially with corporate, like bigger corporations.
Sure. Yeah, maybe I need a bigger education on this, but so let's say we do this and I see the old right turn lane heading west toward the roundabout would go away. That becomes grass or something. Do we sell that grass back to Sunshine Factory or something, or do we own that grass and do we want to maintain it, or how does that work with right of way? Like, as we change this land.
Great question, Councilmember Gregor. Typically, we obtain right away. We do not release it back. Not saying that we couldn't. If there was a significant use for the property that it made sense, we could release it. But the properties that are adjacent to this would maintain that the grass.
Like a boulevard.
Correct. So it's kind of like the grass in front of your house. The city owns the right of way, but you still maintain up to the curb.
Thank you. I will just, go on the record. I prefer the roundabout.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. The $400,000 additional cost, is that going to be borne by the adjacent properties or the city, or how do we do that with roadway improvements?
So this, great question. So what this would be added as a, we would be, the assessment would be 40% of the project costs. So of the roadway costs. So yes, there would be some impact to the property owners.
Thank you.
All right, I have Councilmember Nelson, then Peterson.
Okay, I do like the roundabout option. I have a question. I'm looking at what you're showing us here right now, but just as far as like Sunshine Factory, they're not gonna lose, according to this, what you're showing me is they still keep all their parking spaces, is that right? With the way you've angled the roundabout in there, they're gonna be okay with the parking spaces they have?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Nelson. We were very diligent in looking at how big we could make the roundabout without impacting parking. And so yes, there is parking of one or two spots on the Holiday site, but on the Sunshine Factory, we were able to keep it so that they would not lose parking.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate you considering that. I do have another follow-up question. Just trying to have an understanding of how this might affect businesses with construction. What would the construction time be on roundabout versus the other option with the four-way?
Great question, Councilmember Nelson. As far as construction timing and length of construction, it may impact it by a week or two. It's not a big difference as far as timing. There will be impacts to the businesses while we construct this project, but those would happen with either scenario.
All right, Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering about slightly to the south of where this intersection is. It looks like there's preserving the in and out that's between the Holiday and the Walgreens. But then even just further to the south and on the east side, is that right in only, that's right by Chili's, is that preserved as well?
Great question, Councilmember Peterson. That will be maintained. We were trying to pull traffic, continue to let traffic use those entrances. As you can see, the parking over there there's a large parking area, so there is a need. And the sooner we can pull the cars that want to go that way out, the less impact that has on our roads.
Yeah, thank you. And I will say I also would prefer the roundabout.
Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate that.
All right, Councilmember Spoonheim.
I hate this intersection today. Hate it. And having just trained...
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I know. And having just trained a 16-year-old to drive, this was a scary place to take her. So anyway, anything's better. Thank you. I'm for the roundabout, but I have a question. The roundabout to the west will only have one lane feeding into it, so I know we can't fix everything as you go westbound into that snaking S-turn into the Target lot. But any concerns when you were modeling it about how this will cause, by narrowing it down to one lane at the traffic circle heading eastbound into the circle, will this cause further backup during peak hours in the parking lot to the west of the intersection?
Councilmember Pointner, are you referring to like the
Councilmember
entrance?
Spoonheim.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Councilmember Spoonheim, are you referring to the entrance that goes towards Target / the commercial area?
Yeah, it would be the people coming from Target eastbound into the traffic circle alongside on the north side of Holiday. So, Michael, you got it? Were you just pointing? Okay, great. Yeah, so that's where I'm just wondering if the traffic leaving Target will back up significantly.
Councilmember Spoonheim, that has been modeled, and there are no significant delays with the roundabout option.
Great, let's build a roundabout.
I'm in favor of the roundabout too. So, any other comments, feedback? Councilmember Aldridge.
Yeah, I want to state that I'm in favor of the roundabout too. I'm more of a yield guy instead of a stop sign guy. So,
thank you.
I think the roundabouts on Plymouth Boulevard here has been huge, so successful, and people are just so appreciative. I still get people comments that come up to me and it's like saying, "Oh, those roundabouts are great because no confusion, no four-way stops, just flow through traffic." So, yeah, I think you have consensus.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. All right. That brings us to item 8.4, resolution. I'm going to hand this over to Councilmember Spoonheim. I would just introduce it, saying that on our study session was talking about how different things we could do and where the council's heads was at regarding some of the responses to immigration enforcement. One of the thoughts was to create this resolution. We spent a fair amount just kind of going through it and adding things and kind of editing it from the original draft. And I thank Councilmember Spoonheim for taking the time to put this together and kind of shepherding us through that. So I'll turn it over to you.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. So as the mayor said this evening, we spent nearly 2 hours talking about a number of items related to the experience in our community of what's happening and related to the federal immigration activities under Operation Metro Surge. And tonight our intent is to propose and adopt, I believe, a resolution to express our values and thoughts on this issue. I want to acknowledge, though, that as we considered this, we as a city council had to recognize what's in our authority and what's in our power. And, I think our work can be summed up often in three ways: that we celebrate, we educate, and we legislate. We celebrate by championing the cause of the city, and sometimes that means championing when things go wrong, which I think is part of why we had this conversation tonight. Next, we educate. And so in this resolution, there are some important facts about our community that many people may not be aware of, and so I'll just call those out as we read it. We also spend time thinking not only about who we are, but what the city can do. And we're really, I think, in strong consensus in support of our police department and the work that they do, and that our police department has held closely their role to deliver on public safety, and how that is a separate mission than federal immigration law enforcement, which is held under the auspices of federal government. We also acknowledge that, tonight we've heard conversation about the responsiveness to 911, and I know there'll be further conversations, but I have repeatedly, as we all have with the chief, talked about how our police do respond. And that we do already have a policy in place that our officers wear body cameras to record when they are interacting with the public. So we educate based on who we are, what we do currently, but also on what we see and hear. And tonight in our public forum, we did hear from people who've had some experiences. I personally have shared my story about taking my kids to school and seeing a young woman stopped on her way to work. And as I was able to talk with her after the ICE agents departed, she was a U.S.-born citizen, Hispanic, early 20s, and no criminal record. And it's like these incidences where people are being, in my opinion, racially profiled. So we need to think about what we're seeing, what we're hearing. We also are hearing from employers, the impact on them as people they hire who have legal residency here or are citizens or are too afraid to come to work. We're hearing about employees, as we heard tonight, who are just afraid to leave their homes. Teachers are reporting to us that students are absent or having to choose to take their coursework remotely. And so in summary, we are hearing that our community is being harmed by the tactics being used in Operation Metro Surge. And so our community police are here to protect anyone. And so one of the things that we also are hearing is from the importance of people as they engage in observing what's happening, they remain peaceful, because we need to ensure that we are not putting our police department in the middle between disparate factions. So the last thing we do is legislate. I've already touched on the fact that we have legislated our policies around how we expect law enforcement to occur in our city and what it does and doesn't do. People have asked us to legislate on other things, like, can we ban masks? And the answer is no. There are things that people have asked us to take action on that are not in our authority, and we cannot do so. So, in conclusion, this resolution I'll read in a moment is about championing that first idea of championing the cause of our people, the people that work here, the people that live here, the people that visit here, to educate our community about the challenges that are being faced in this difficult time, and to also educate that we as a council, I think, have held up tonight our belief and our understanding that we can support local law enforcement, we can support federal immigration law enforcement, and we can concurrently disagree with the tactics being used currently by certain federal law enforcement officers. It is possible to hold these things true. So I'd like to introduce this resolution now. And I should note that it will be included in the minutes of this because we did write it and finish it during the previous session. So I'll read it now. It's a resolution affirming community values and stewardship of community resources amidst immigration enforcement operations. Whereas a strategic goal of the City Council of the City of Plymouth is to be a, quote, connected and thriving community, end quote, and whereas Plymouth nurtures this vision by valuing respect for our neighbors, civility in discussion, and rejection of discrimination, and affirm our valuing of every person regardless of immigration status or profession. And whereas Plymouth values its partnership with state and federal law enforcement agencies in activities designed to prevent or respond to criminal activity within the community. And whereas, according to 2024 census data, approximately 13.5% of Plymouth residents are foreign-born, and 25% of residents are non-white, including individuals with Black, Hispanic, Asian, American Indian, and other backgrounds. And they are our neighbors, friends, coworkers, business owners, and valuable members of the Plymouth community. Whereas the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and its subsidiary agencies have initiated Operation Metro Surge, an unprecedented immigration enforcement operation in the state of Minnesota, and have employed tactics inconsistent with community policing, including wearing masks and non-uniform clothing, often without agency or individual identification. And whereas during Operation Metro Surge, constitutional observers and law enforcement officials in neighboring cities have reported instances of DHS officers conducting racial profiling and detaining people in violation of the United States Constitution and their Fourth Amendment. And whereas these tactics have created unique public safety challenges and caused fear and anxiety for residents, business owners and their employees and patrons, visitors and city staff, resulting in harm to our employers, residents, and students. And whereas we stand for the rule of law and respect the role of federal immigration enforcement, we expect federal leadership to direct agencies in a way that recognizes local jurisdiction and responsibilities while respecting the integrity of our cities as a whole. We are concerned that current enforcement approaches may risk undermining constitutional protections and places cities at legal and operational risk. And we call for improved coordination grounded in the rule of law, due process, and respect for local governance. And whereas Plymouth does not conduct or assist with federal immigration enforcement activities, and whereas the Plymouth Police Department strives to build community trust and treat people with courtesy, dignity, and respect, now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Plymouth, Minnesota, that Plymouth condemns the violence and unconstitutional actions occurring during immigration enforcement activities, and be it further resolved that Plymouth is committed to the equal treatment under the law of all residents and visitors in the provision of city resources and services, regardless of immigration status or national origin, and be it further resolved, Plymouth calls upon all people to remain peaceful during interactions with law enforcement. Thank you, council members, for the opportunity to present that resolution.
And thank you again, Councilmember Spoonheim, for kind of spearheading that and putting a draft together to put in front of us. I'm just going to open it up for any comments other council members would like to make at this point. Councilmember Pointner?
I just wanted to make a comment that this is acknowledging what's happening, and this is acknowledging that there's pain and hurt and fear. And I don't want to add to that. So when I made the statement, in our meeting there that by doing something could cause a false sense of security or a false sense of that someone felt safe. That's directly in response to saying, I don't want to add to the burdens to this population that is already overburdened. And I think it does an injustice for us to sit here and make a statement that might or do something in the city that could actually hurt someone more. I won't stand for that. So to propose an action, just to propose an action, does not, if it does not help the people it's supposed to help, then that's not a good thing in my mind. So I just wanted to clarify why I was saying what I was saying.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, Councilmember Gregor?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Spoonheim, for your leadership in putting this together. To build on Councilmember Pointner's statement, I think my concern through this entire last few weeks and months has been the safety and security of vulnerable, threatened neighbors in our city. And like you were saying, Councilmember Pointner, we don't want to do something that could give them a false sense of security or that could create greater harm. And I don't think this will do either of those. I think this shows support. It stands up, and it communicates a clear message that to our community in particular. And I support this. I might come back in a few minutes with just a few little questions or copy edits, but I don't have any objection to the general format that we have here. And like I said, I have been focused on making sure that what we do as a city doesn't further put at risk our neighbors and our immigrant community.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Gregor. Councilmember Aldrich?
Yeah, I know that we talked about this for quite a while earlier. I did have one edit I wanted to mention because a word to me that's really important is dignity. And so I'm just going to, and honoring people's dignity, and I'm just going to define it here, recognizing the inherent inalienable worth of every individual regardless of their background, status, or abilities. And so that's really important to have the phrase honoring the dignity of everyone. So I'm proposing in sentence 2, between the words valuing and every person, I would insert of and honoring the dignity of. So it would read valuing or and affirm our valuing of and honoring the dignity of every person, regardless of immigration status or profession. So that's my only edit, but otherwise I'm good with everything. We talked a lot about it earlier, so.
And I think we should be cognizant of being careful about starting to wordsmith at this point. But I understand, and that's pretty simple to add in. Councilmember Nelson?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's work on this. Joel, thank you for pulling it together. But I also appreciated the the work of the entire council during study session, that we were able to have a civil conversation about this. I also appreciate all the community members who have spoken in this meeting tonight from varying points of view. I think this is a balanced approach. It's a resolution. To me, it's a good start. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be the final action that we take on these issues. But I'm really happy that we're starting to have this conversation and that it's public facing. And I just appreciate all my colleagues who have helped pull this resolution together. And I appreciate all the feedback and all the input on how Metro Surge has been affecting our community. I appreciate all viewpoints. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Councilmember Nelson. Councilmember Peterson?
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to thank all the council members for their thoughtful contributions to the final product. Even if it's not quite there, it seems like we're very close, and I think it's a really important statement, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I also want to thank Chief Fadden for his leadership and his thoughtful approach through all of this. So thanking him and his staff, and then of course all the community members who were there to share their views with us tonight as well. So thank you, and I'll be gladly supporting the resolution.
And I'll be supporting the resolution as well. And I just want to point out that, really the first 3 points talks about the values we as a community have. And I thought Councilmember Spoonheim did a really good job of kind of laying those out. And then talking about, I've talked about the difference in the census data that's come in for us that are in, Councilmember Nelson's up in her ward up in Northwest Plymouth. That's pretty easy to see how much that the city has changed with the Indian community that's moved in there. And then Councilmember Spoonheim pointed out, like in number 5, our community policing, we have years and years. In fact, how long was that we won a national award by our citizens? Eric, do you recall that? I can't remember what it was, but it was our residents that praised Plymouth, and we were awarded this national award for the community policing we were doing.
Yeah, Mayor, I believe it was right before COVID.
Yeah.
And I have this timeline in my head of pre-COVID, post-COVID.
That's what I have too.
Right before
That was a
COVID,
pre-COVID
so
item.
2019 or so.
But that's not what ICE has. And to Councilmember Spoonheim's point, there's nothing we can do about it. But it points out that what ICE is doing is not what Plymouth Police is doing. And then the other thing I wanted to point out too, that when we talk in paragraph number 6, Plymouth has been, relative to our neighboring communities, we know we have ICE going through here. We know we have ICE making some stops in Plymouth, but relative to the other communities, our neighboring communities that have surrounded us, we have much less ICE activity going on. And I'm thankful for that, but we haven't had the level of reporting that other chiefs of police have said that they've seen in their communities. So a lot of this is just understanding what other communities are going through, how they may have people that live in their communities, or they may have Plymouth residents that live and then work in their communities. Just the difference in there, but I'm just thankful that Plymouth so far has been relatively, compared to our neighbors, hasn't had the same degree of enforcement operations that have been taking place. And then I think we'd point out in paragraph number 8 that we stand for the rule of law. We support our police department. We recognize that there's a role for federal immigration enforcement, and then we can't do anything about that. And so those are some of the reasons, in terms of laying that out and what we resolve and what we ask our residents to do. So, yeah, I'm supportive of this resolution. So with that, Councilmember Spoonheim, would you like to make a motion?
Actually, Mr. Greger, I believe, has some edits. If
Oh,
just
that's
hear
right.
him, please.
Maybe this is a question for Soren or for Jody, but when I read resolutions, it seems like one really long run-on sentence generally. Whereas, and, semicolon, and so on. In number 8, we get to a bunch of sentences. Does that matter?
No.
Okay. Then we'll leave that. And then in number 4, we don't have an and at the end of the thing to lead to number 5.
I'm under the impression that what Jody will probably do for purposes of putting this in a resolution book will properly format this in the,
Thank you.
with signatures and things of that nature. So
Am
this will be put in the proper format.
Yes, correct.
Thank you both. Last question or comment just for, in number 8, it has a, we are calling for improved coordination, et cetera, sentence, which to me again seems like a therefore thing that could be moved. That last sentence could be moved to number 2 in the bottom if people are so interested. Probably fine where it is too, but Councilmember Spoonheim, I'll leave it to you.
with the council's permission, I will, consistent with Mr. Gregor's suggestion, that we take the last sentence of number 8 and we move it as a new number 2, and then number 2 will become 3, number 3 will become 4, and it will read, be it further resolved, we call for improved coordination grounded in the rule of law, due process, and respect for local governance.
Okay, everyone okay with that?
So that amendment, plus the addition of the and, plus the addition of Mr. Aldrich's item in number 2, so amended, I would like to make a motion this evening to adopt the resolution affirming community values and stewardship of community resources amidst immigration enforcement operations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Jody, roll call.
Nelson,
Aye.
Pointer,
Aye.
Kuhnheim,
Aye.
Gregor,
Aye.
Peterson,
Aye.
Aldrich,
Aye.
Washi.
Aye. And that item passes. Next, under reports and staff recommendations, we didn't have time to set future study sessions, so we're going to cover that now from our, what was on the agenda for our study session. Amanda?
All right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have just a few items listed under this tonight, the first of which being setting future study sessions. Staff would like to schedule a review of the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan on June 9th at 5 p.m. And then we would like to move the transportation discussion that was originally scheduled for tonight to April 13th at 5 p.m. And that includes several items, including intersection improvements at Providence Academy and Schmidt Lake, County Road 101 update, and long-range initiatives, including road diets and roundabouts.
Okay, everyone okay with that? All right.
So
Then
the
item
next.
C.
The next item is a review of the tobacco licensing ordinance draft timeline. You should all have a copy of that in front of you. Based on the feedback that was provided at the last study session, staff went back and researched and put together an achievable timeline based on your feedback, which you have in front of you. You can read through it, but including the steps to draft the ordinance, to hold a public comment period, to notify licensees, and then bring it back to the council for a public hearing, and then eventual consideration. That would look like an April 28th date for final consideration at the council. Just seeking some feedback on how you feel about this timeline.
Mayor?
Any thoughts?
Mayor?
You have Councilmember Pointner?
When will we see the ordinance?
You will see it before March 13th. So on March 13th, staff will send a letter and a copy of the draft ordinance to licensees, so council will receive a copy of that before that date.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Gregor?
I think this is a appropriately ambitious timeline, so thank you.
Any other comments? All right. Next item, review State of the City format. The reason this is on here is because our State of the City is set for Discover Plymouth. I have a medical procedure I need to have done, and my doctor, of course, scheduled it 4 days before this Discover Plymouth event, which means I will not be around to give the State of the City. So that means Deputy Mayor Clark Gregor I'm going to do a video recording. We haven't figured that out quite yet, but to introduce it and explain a little bit that I can't be there, but council member who is our deputy mayor this year, Clark Gregor, had some ideas that he wants to run by the council, so I'll let him take it.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I did propose, a game show and the Hot Wings challenge, but
I really think you should go with the hot wings.
But I thought it would be a great opportunity to incorporate our fellow council members in some format in the event. So we would have, the mayor give a brief video presentation. I could give the bulk of the traditional state of the city, and then I had a couple of thoughts for discussion with the rest of the council. One is we shorten the speech and we add sort of a Q&A with the council. So we would each, answer a question about, something in our ward or something in the city that's happened in the last year that's important to us in a more conversational format, less scripted. The other option we discussed with communications staff was maybe having council members go over to CCX in the TV studio and do an interview or record something that we could cut to a bunch of different videos during the speech. But that way, the rest of you could be involved in the presentation as well. I would love to hear your feedback.
And part of that Q&A will depend on who can be there that day.
Correct. So the event is on March, 21st, 20th? And so, council members would all be invited, of course. We all have been, but if you can't be there, you might have a preference. Can I just take over as deputy mayor and call on people here, Mayor?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go for it.
I see Councilmember Peterson has raised her hand.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I love the idea of being a little innovative and shaking it up a little bit. Sorry, it's at the absence of the mayor, but if this is an opportunity for us to tinker, I'm all for it. And I like the idea of offering other council members the opportunity to play a part.
Do you have a preference on either of the formats that I proposed?
I think I liked the video one better, but they're both good.
Others? Councilmember Pointner?
I do not like the video. When I have to do my video, it took like forever. I am not good. Not good at that. Excuse me. I prefer in person answering questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Aldrich?
Yeah, I think I like the in-person because there's a lot of people there. So if we do in-person Q&A, I think that'll be good for the people that are there. So that's my preference.
Councilmember Nelson?
Yeah, typically I'd like in person, but I'm going to lean towards video just because I think I'm going to be one of the people with the scheduling conflict.
Councilmember Spoonheim?
I'm disappointed you didn't put a dunk tank on the menu.
Maybe I'll buy a booth.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll sit in it first. Anyway, I would like a mix. I mean, I think the videos are really good. I also think because, as Mr. Aldrich said, the Q&A is the opportunity to interact with our citizens. So maybe we just find a way to do that as part of it as a afterwards or something. I don't know. But the main point is for us to meet and interact and listen as best we can and answer questions. So whatever, I'm too tired at this moment to really have a strong opinion.
Thank you. Councilmember Aldrich?
Yeah, and along the lines, if those people that aren't going to be there or want to do videos, I think it might be cool if you asked a question in person and their response was played on a video. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I think maybe some kind of hybrid mix, depending on preferences. I mean, I want to respect our city staff and the communications team and make sure that we're not making it too crazy for them to put this together. But I don't think where we're leaning seems too crazy. So, and it might actually be better to have a few fewer of us doing a Q&A panel so we don't have to go down a line of 6 people if 1 or 2 are on video. And so that might make it a little bit more efficient. Sound good? All right, back to you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the chance to try this out.
So, any other reports and other
No reports.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thanks, everyone.